Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by SX, Travis, Physics Warrior, Peanuts Clark, Jose, Event Horizon, Chocolate Saiyan, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good morning. Hello. What?
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Long live Flat Earth. Boom.
So, following on from the last show, we were kind of discussing how it's now reached the point of absolute farce with some of the arguments, because we're showing in small scale things like, the way I'll phrase it is boats going over the horizon hull first. In other words, things disappearing from bottom up. And this is easily replicatable by anybody simply by getting a long enough, flat enough surface and just lowering a camera with a small aperture to the ground. And when you reach that limited viewing angle, which often in many cases happens before you reach the ground, you will see things like people's shoes in the distance disappearing from bottom up. So this is very easy to replicate. The farcical bit is that the people who have obviously argued this throughout this debate that the obstruction we see on an island in the distance is actually Earth curve obscuring it. So the leading edge of the curve between you and the thing you are viewing is actually what's causing it. Hello, Alan.
Hello, boys. Back for another go.
Yes, Alan. So would you concede that things get smaller or more compressed as they go into the distance?
They don't get smaller or more compressed. It's just perspective, Nathan.
Yes, that would be getting smaller, an angular size change.
They don't get smaller, though, in real life, do they?
Yes. Yes, Alan, they do.
Okay, I'll let you have that point. But I want to talk to you.
So why did you say no?
You keep mentioning.
Sorry, why did you say no?
Because I said no.
So you lied?
No.
So when I ask for a simple yes or no answer, you say no, and then when I hold you to it, you say yes, okay, I'll give you that one. So why the contradiction? I don't understand, Alan.
You asked for a yes or no answer. I said no. Let's carry on.
So when I say things do get smaller, having had you on the show on the last show and physically had it on screen with things physically getting smaller in the picture, the angular size reducing, I say, do things get more compressed into the distance? You say no.
No, it's just perspective.
Yes, an angular size change. We seem to be... It's time to kick you out again, you circle-jerking asshole. Yes, that's correct. Things get smaller into the distance because of perspective. Precisely my point, Alan. So saying no, and then double-speaking around and saying, yes, I'll give you that point, is you being another asshole. Yeah? So, no, you're not here to make my blood boil by circle-jerking us with yes answers when there should be no, and no answers when there should be yes, conceding after disagreeing. No, Alan, you're just a wanker. Sod off my show. Don't waste our time. Yes, things get more compressed as they go into the distance, a contributing factor when you account for things disappearing on the horizon bottom first. First, you must concede that they are, in fact, shrinking, getting more compressed, squashing, getting smaller as they go into the distance. So when I ask you that question and you say no, that makes me want to kick you out for being an asshole. Simple thing to concede. You conceded it and then circle jerked. That's why I kicked you out. Not a coward. He didn't ask me anything this time, chat. I kicked him out because he was an asshole before he got to ask any questions. Sick of it. Don't know about you on the panel. You all sick of it as well?
Yes. I think it's time that we separate the men from the boys.
They should know better right now how to talk.
Definitely sick of it.
Is that you,
Nah,
Travis?
Alan was just fooling around.
Who was talking quietly? Nobody.
Me?
I thought I heard something. It could just be me hearing things.
Hearing voices again.
Oh,
Nathan,
it's
in your
Rumpus. Rumpus in chat. Come on, Rumpus. Get in here, man.
At least
Enlighten
Alan
us.
did. At least Alan did admit perspective. I mean, he's halfway there.
What, after denying it?
Yeah, but he's all jumbling it up.
Yeah, he's
He's
just
like
trying to do
Yeah, I
juggling
know.
with the stuff, not letting it fall into place naturally.
He
Hey!
doesn't want it to be nice and clear and consistent. Hello, Rumpus.
Hello.
So how many utters are we gonna be this time, Rumpus?
So, how do you account for things disappearing
not
before
quite
the
as
level of
bad
the
as
floor is
before.
reached? How do you account for
I've
things
got a cold, so
disappearing
I
before the
shouldn't
level
really
of the
be
floor
here,
is
but I got a
reached?
cold,
Rumpus?
I just couldn't
Rumpus,
resist
I
the
haven't
idiocy
actually
of
finished my
laughing here
sentence.
again.
You've only just come. I haven't even greeted you yet. I am the host. Have some decorum. Try to be polite. My question: why would you say the floor is obscuring things before the camera has reached the floor?
Because a wiggly floor will interfere even with the camera above the very bottom of the floor.
But then it's above it. How could it interfere if it is above it? That makes no sense.
Well, I'll draw a diagram for you if you like. To
No,
demonstrate
don't
the
need to. We've
wiggliness
seen it
will
demonstrated.
interfere
We
with
don't
it.
need
No, it doesn't
pictorial
have to be right
diagrams.
on
We've
the
got
Gonna be
half
an
a dozen
orthographic
demonstrations. Listen, we've got half a dozen demonstrations. We don't need you to draw it. I would like you to explain why you think the floor is interfering before you could possibly have the floor in the lens of the camera. It's above it.
I was going to draw a diagram to show you, but
I don't want
apparently
a
you
Is
don't
it
diagram.
gonna be an orthographic view?
I'll
Rumpus?
explain why, Rumpus. It's because the limited viewing angle.
No such thing.
Yes, there is absolutely such a thing.
No such thing. Absolutely no such thing.
Nathan, can
Show
you
us a citation. Show us the
presentation?
geometry. Show us the proof, Nathan. You're talking utter bollocks.
Oh, right.
Show us the
You have no idea what you're talking about. This is Dunning-Kruger writ large. You're an idiot.
You want to see one of the
Absolutely
dozens
no
of videos
idea what
being
you're talking
presented?
about.
Please present your diagram. I'd love to see it.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't drawn one in preparation, so I'll have to do it live. Okay.
Oh, really? I've got a diagram. I'll go and dig it out.
Okay.
Cool. Let's compare diagrams.
Yeah, let's compare diagrams.
I mean, anybody with a basic knowledge of geometry would show that you cannot have the effect that you describe.
What, a limited viewing angle?
Correct. No such thing. Something you've just manufactured out of your bottom. Don't know where you got it from. You just thought it up yourself. It doesn't exist in the literature. No optical.
No, we figured
support
it
for
out.
No
by
citations.
testing,
Nothing.
field
No one
testing.
in science or optics would agree with you, Nathan. You just
We
made it
figured
up.
it out by field testing it, Rumpus.
Exactly.
Owen,
We're
you
exploding
can't
it.
even work out the size of a triangle if you were given one. If you demonstrate you don't know any trigonometry at all, you're not in a position to work out anything.
Okay, well, enough ad hominem attacks. So here we have an orthographic view of two stickmen. Stickman on the left is going to be our observer, and this centre line is going to be what Rumpus will claim is the line of sight. So we can see everything because we've got this single line of sight with everything maintaining its actual sizes. So this 6-foot man here in orthographic view is the same as this 6-foot man here. Therefore we can see him because we can see them side on. There's just one problem. This angle, which would be anything above the midpoint of this gentleman's view, this angle means you can see almost infinitely. So if something's high enough, it will be visible. However, when we get down to the smaller angle, we have some problems because the angle to the entire guy is about 10 degrees. That's the size of the guy. That's his angular size, 10 degrees. Now, when we start looking at things that are further towards the bottom of this particular diagram, so when we start looking at, say, his leg, that would be about 2 degrees. An angular size limitation. The viewing angle to his leg is smaller than the viewing angle to his head, or the building that could be behind him. That's got a much bigger viewing angle. Now, when we get down to his shoes, as demonstrated in this diagram, we have 1/2 degree. So small that in this pictorial example, we can't even fit the lettering between the gap because we have a limited viewing angle.
Can't see the diagram.
I don't care what you can see. You're a muppet. I wasn't doing it for you.
Well, you're an idiot. Whatever you're drawing, you're
Oh,
being an
really?
idiot.
Call me an idiot again and I'll kick you out. Ad hom me
You're
one
an
more
idiot.
time and I'll kick you out.
You're an
Rumpus,
idiot.
come on, man. Let's
I'm
have
an
a good
idiot.
discussion.
Right.
Come on.
Rumpus,
Bye-bye,
may
you
I ask
asshole.
you about what
Don't
your
call the host an
present-
idiot. I just kick you
Ah.
out, asshole. Don't care about your
I
diagram.
wanted
Don't
to
ad hom the
ask
Bye,
you.
host.
Rumpus.
Don't ad hom the host.
Oh, damn.
No, I'm not in a mood for it today. I'm very ill. Been ill for the last 3 days. And I'm not
Yes,
going to
who are
listen
you
to
and what
ad
have you done with
homs from
Nathan Oakley?
Rumpus. Not interested. His explanation would not have explained it. It would just be an obfuscation technique.
He wanted to change the subject really quickly. Yet again, he just came in, as always. It's like he's got a planned script of how he has to act. And he was like, too form. I could have put money on it.
Well, I'm not interested in his ad hominem attacks today, I'm afraid. There is
No,
a
get him out.
limited viewing angle. Hey,
Hello?
blame me. Is that
Blame
a
me?
troll?
Hello?
That's a troll. Do you want to kick him out the back chat, Arwin?
Got him.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood for it today.
Nope.
There
He
is a
always comes
limited
down to
viewing
claiming
angle.
that something doesn't exist.
Yeah. In the same way as the angular size of something can reduce to the point where it will disappear as you get further away from it, the same thing applies as you work your way down anything. The angle gets more and more limited as you work your way down. Simple. Hey, chocolate.
What's up? What's up?
So obviously, if there are no math equations or if there are no literature proclaiming what Nathan has said, then to Rumpus, it's not true.
Well, there is. I just
That's
put it
what
on
I got
screen.
from that.
So, yeah, it's a simple pictorial example of how the angle to anything at the bottom of anything is always limited. The angle to the bottom is smaller than the angle to the top. That's a fact. Nobody could dispute it.
You just have to look at it and see. Rumpus wants to draw diagrams, but just look at it and explain what you see. Time and time again, these things have been repeated now. Don't need diagrams, just explain what you see.
It's a sad day to be a globehead.
So Rumpus is denying that things disappear from bottom up, even though there's been about, what, 12
You
examples?
mean we need diagrams to explain what
Sorry,
we don't
hold on,
see?
chocolate. So Rumpus is in the chat denying that
We
things
don't see
disappear.
curvature, but we have all these diagrams explaining how it works.
So he's denying that things disappear from the bottom up. So I think several of the people on this panel,
does for a living?
several of the people on this panel have actually done it, Rumpus, and demonstrated it on this show to the audience. So you denying that this
Seems,
happens, nonsense.
Sorry. Seems Rumpus has gone full out double think delusional.
Go ahead, SX.
Yeah, do any of you know what Rumpus does for a living?
What's that
Yeah,
got to do
he's
with
a
the shape of
denier.
the earth?
Well,
He's
the
a
reason why,
denier.
because maybe he has invested his whole life in something that is relevant to this topic. That's why he cannot let it go, you know, because
Yeah.
it's so obvious. I don't see how he cannot see this stuff and still lie.
Well, that's like I was saying in the first show. Rumpus cannot concede. He has to say that the floors are curved. He has to.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Hey guys, Zinder's
Just
trying to come
denies.
in, so I'm gonna try to send him a link if that's alright.
Okie
Yeah,
dokie.
I'll drop out. Make a spot.
No, I'll drop out. I'm just gonna
I
send the
can
link.
drop out too. I mean, if you guys need room, just let me know.
All love over here.
For who? Who wants to come in?
I think he said
Is it a
Zinder.
baller?
Zinder wants to come in.
Oh,
Oh,
Zinder.
Same here. If you need a spot, I'll drop.
See, Zinder
Alright.
is yeah, he's
Yeah, Zinder,
argumentative,
he's in Thailand, yeah.
but Zinder's a good
Alright, I
guy.
just send him the hangout. I'm gonna drop.
I perked up when I heard it was Zindo. I like Zindo.
I'm trying to work on a rebuttal to Quantum Eraser, what happened on the weekend. I just heard it yesterday and it's kind of frustrating. So hopefully I can share it here with you guys eventually. Or maybe I'll just make a recording and we'll see. Alright, I'm dropping.
I'm glad you've not taken it too personally. You just want to get your point across as opposed to, you know, vitriol or what we get from those guys. You just want to make your point, presumably, Earth Flattener. Oh, it's dropped already.
okay. There's room on the panel now. Zinder, come in.
Zinder's still in Thailand.
I think so.
Yeah, this is good.
I'm surprised
Personality
we
is
found
world class. Sorry, personality is world class, and we're not going to agree with some things, and because we disagree with a point in a subject, then the personal attacks and kind of the pointing fingers will start coming. But this is all part of the psychology, you know. We should more focus about the subject on hand instead of the personality or who is bringing the message across, you know.
Just
yeah.
for blue.
I understand that point. Personality over time kind of comes into it, doesn't it? If people like the Rumpus are going to be coming in for 8 months, just lying every time they come on, then they deserve the punishment that they get, really. But
Not
new
punishment.
people like Zindo, yeah,
Not really punishment.
got to earn yourself.
If you call the host an idiot and then get told don't ad hom the host, and then they just immediately say you're an idiot, expect to get kicked out. You know, I'm not a punching bag, Rumpus. If you want to come in and just ad hom the hell out of me, I'm just going to kick you from now on. I'm sick of it. You know, come in, present your argument. I was more than willing for you to present your argument. You had it up on screen. I was about to present you, and I give my explanation, having been told there is no such thing as a viewing angle. Yeah, ludicrous. Of course there's a viewing angle.
I really can't believe he said that.
Well, it's just the kind of crap that we have to deal with from these obfuscators. So yeah, we were told there's no viewing angle. I bring up a diagram very clearly depicting the viewing angle and where the viewing angle is too limited to see something. It is too small, effectively causing the angular size of whatever is at the bottom to be too small. There's going to be a part of everything in the distance that is in an angle that effectively causes the angular size of that thing to be in that angle, making the angular size of that thing at the bottom too small to see, by virtue of the angle you view it at. Now, I demonstrated it. I worked hard with Ranty on that picture. Mostly Ranty's worked with me describing exactly what I want while he drew it into paint, but I've got a depiction of it. He didn't have one. He said he'd have to draw one. So I bring it up, describe something he's denied. No viewing angle, according to Rumpus. There it is. What's his answer? You're an idiot. Bye-bye. Sod off. Go somewhere else. I mean, am I wrong? Was my depiction... Oh, you didn't see it, did you, in the Hangout?
No.
Sorry. Can't really ask that question. No point asking the chat because it's full of
Didn't
trolls.
see it.
It's alright. I would ask the chat.
I seen it. I had the YouTube open as you were talking, and yeah, I seen it before. Is perfectly explained. I understand those who can draw at least a little bit and just have eyes. Those who have eyes will understand the the diagram you showed pretty much.
So Mike Price, that's a logical fallacy. Nathan Oakley. Lol, you drew your diagram in Paint. I'm totally convinced now. Ha ha ha. Well, that's an appeal to format fallacy. The way it's depicted, it wouldn't matter if I drew it in crayon. Freehand. The point is the same. Doesn't matter how I format it.
Wow. That's the childish behavior that I'm talking about right there.
Ooh, you drew a diagram in Paint. What are we supposed to draw diagrams in? Illustrator?
What is the
Google
official?
SketchUp? What I mean, is there a designated thing to draw a diagram in?
I don't think so.
Yes, Matt Powerland handwriting, hand drawings, Matt Powerland, the one.
Because children still play with balls.
Oh, it's a ludicrous objection. Yeah, that diagram was dug out purely because there was a claim on the table that you don't have a viewing angle. Well, that's entirely the basis of angular size, and calculating to deny a viewing angle is quite literally preposterous. For me to then have to demonstrate it and then get called an idiot is worthy of being kicked.
So if I hire Robert Simmons from NASA to do the diagram for me, will that be, that be acceptable?
Hey, why doesn't this Liu Kai come in? He has a Chinese name. He must be smart. He likes to chat here. Why doesn't he come on?
That's really racist. So if he's Chinese or Japanese, he must be good at maths.
Too, so yeah, I'm racist.
What the Americans call Asian. I had Cami Nodal get in touch with me about this because in the interview I did, I said I lived amongst mainly Asians. Now for us, that would be Muslims. From it wouldn't be what Americans call Asians. You guys call Asians Chinese and Japanese, I think.
East. No, I'd say east. Northeast and southeast.
No, that's racist. We call them Chinese. Yeah.
I don't call them I wouldn't call Indians or Pakistani Asian technically.
Just want to point out another contradiction from the Rumpus. He says, you don't know what a viewing angle is. So now apparently there is a viewing angle when you said there wasn't, Rumpus. This is why you got kicked out.
Sorry, that's brilliant.
He just exposed himself. Wow. Rumpus, you are one dumb idiot, bro. God. You just exposed yourself in front of 250 people.
Hey, Zinda.
Sorry, that is brilliant.
Nice legs.
How are you?
I think human beings understand a viewing angle by the time they, about 2 months old, and their eyes, and they start standing up in the crib to get a better viewing angle to look what's going on. Babies understand viewing angles.
Well, this is literally it. They've got
utter moron.
But you were right. I think it was Peanuts who said this. It's got to be obfuscated. So literally, he has to deny the viewing angle to the point where he looks like a complete idiot.
I'm still laughing.
It was funny.
Zinder having issues with the camera over there. He couldn't turn it off on time.
Yeah, I had an issue joining the show because when I clicked on the link, it took me to the store page, and then when it took me to the Hangout, but not to the actual conversation, And then
are you using PC or phone?
The phone. I'm in the holidays right now. I don't have a PC here.
It's a bit dark and lonely in the back Hangouts, doesn't it?
Sorry, did you just call us with no?
I got a question.
Did you? Just one second. Just want to ask Cinder one thing. Did you call us with no pants from Thailand?
Yeah, I'm in front of the pool right now. No, I have a t-shirt on. It's evening here. It's 11 o'clock.
Are you naked?
And I made some observations when I am in Pattaya right now, and there is like the sea, and then you can see another part of Thailand. So
which island are you on? Are you in Koh Samui?
Sorry?
Are you in Koh Samui or Koh Phanong?
I didn't understand. Sorry, the sound is really bad here.
Where are you? What island are you on?
I'm in Pattaya right now, on the coast, pretty much.
Oh my God! Don't, you dirty boy! You dirty, dirty boy!
Yeah, and So I stood on the beach and I looked over the sea and I still could see lights, you know. And now I only have to look the distance. Maybe it's gonna be convincing to me. Maybe we live on a flat Earth. Who knows?
Zinder, tell us about the plane ride. What'd you see?
Yeah, no curvature. I was on the window seat in the first flight to Dubai. No curvature, but the screen in front of me, it showed around Earth. So I think it's proof enough, isn't it?
Oh wow, the back of the headrest had a globe on it. I'm convinced.
Yeah, the screen, the touch screen, had a globe on it. You know?
Wow.
It had to be curved.
They do the other thing with the if you do the zoom in, then they switch to the flat map, and they just have to have the curve, the arcing line. We can put the arc in there.
Yeah, and I could see the front camera of the flight, right? And so it has a really, really wide viewing angle. And of course, on 10,000 meters height, you couldn't see anything. But when it dropped to 5,000 meters, of course, no curvature because, because of several reasons.
Yes.
It's great. Maybe when I'm on the island, then maybe I can make some observations. Maybe I can make some photos I could share. Let's see if they are of good enough quality. But in the end, it's the only thing that matters to me is my own conviction, and maybe I will convert. Let's see.
Hey, Zinder, welcome to reality.
Yes. Sawadee Ka.
Just a word to the wise.
Again?
If you come to the conclusion, Zinder, just don't mention it. Don't suddenly come out and declare, actually, I'm changing sides. Just carry on as normal. And
I said maybe. I mean, I'm not convinced yet, but
either way,
let's see.
Either way, your general attitude is at the moment is, well, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm just interested. And if you came to any conclusions, like I say, there's no point in opening yourself up to a shitload of ridicule from people just because you've actually gone out and had a look.
I'm going to stay a globe earther for a while, even if I'm convinced. I'm going to have to proceed it slowly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Whenever you're ready to give up the ball, you do it on your time, man.
That's it. We'll all be here for
on the
you.
other hand, I kind of woke up to the real world when I came here, not regarding flat Earth, regarding something else. Real quick, there were people on the market in Pattaya in the evening crawling around with only one leg. And so I wanted to give one of those persons, I wanted to give like $3, you know, because they begged for money. And then my friend who is Thai said, don't do that. And then I asked why. He then told me that it is a business. There are several criminal organizations who go to villages, cut off the leg of those people and kind of take those as slaves. So the only life is crawling around on the evening on the market and begging for money on the floor because they can't do anything else. I mean, kind of.
Yeah, be careful of those scams.
Wow.
The kids with flowers and things like that. They're all mafia. They're basically human trafficking.
So he told me if I'm going to donate money, I'm only going to make it worse. You know, better for those
Be
people.
careful for the one trying to buy baby formula. They'll have a baby in their hand and they'll say, "Oh, get me formula like milk," and you're thinking, "Okay, I'm gonna go get this girl of milk," and then she wants these German imported, $80 canisters of formula, which they just sell back.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I have to look out for many things, but then again, friend is Thai. He knows a little bit of it, so going to look forward to the nice things. I mean, of course, I knew it's going to some things here are going to be bad, you know, regarding to life quality for some people, and some people are really on the end of everything. The economy doesn't go well, you know, everything like that. So, yeah. And the fun thing,
bless you, man.
The fun thing is here you are going to be looked at as falas, which means like foreigner, which means the normal prices sometimes are going to be like 8 times prices for foreigners than for the people who actually live here. And it was really funny because when he went alone there and said like 2 tickets, please, they charged like 100 bucks, which is like $3. And then when they have seen me going closer there, and they asked me, yeah, are you with this guy? And then he said yes. And then they're like, yeah, 800 bucks.
Yeah. And that's the nature of things there.
Yeah, but it's a good business, People who fly there have money, so they have to take the advantage.
Were you able to ask anybody from your community, local community, if what they think the shape of the Earth is?
If you go to a restaurant without your Thai friend and they give you a menu, make sure before you order because they'll give you, even for Thai people, they'll give you a menu with no prices because they kind of know what it is, but they'll just charge whatever they want because you're full up. So make sure you say how much baht you'll get quadruple priced and.
I've seen a video from Jose going back to flat Earth on the market on the Walmart or whatever it was, with the lights disappearing due to the angle of view. It kind of astonishes me because the other videos, of course, many other videos had a kind of curved or uneven surface, but on this market, it looks really flat to me. So yeah, it kind of astonished me what is going on. And
the floors are flat, bro.
yeah, the floor was flat, right? So here,
Cinder, what do you think the shape of the Earth is? I mean, do they have any idea? Do they think it's a ball?
Well, they don't care here. They have other problems. It's kind of luxury to think about it. It doesn't matter to them.
You're presenting.
Yeah. So maybe I can do the same thing as Jose did, but then on a little smaller scale. Pool surface are pretty flat usually. You can compare it to the water. And it's only like 10 meters length. So if I do the same with a small object, maybe, do you think I would be able to observe the same thing?
Depends. Where's the lens on your camera? Is it near the bottom edge? Will the lens actually be near the floor?
Yeah, exactly. This is really important. Or, you can do the same with rooftops. I mean, here, it looks pretty flat. And if you put a little object and put it on the top of the roof here, like this part, maybe if you take a small enough object, maybe you could observe the same. And I think this one is really, really flat. This is like 20 meters.
Well, Cinder, right now, grab maybe a coin, a quarter, a little piece of cardboard or something, put it at the end of the floor, and then come back and lower your camera down. Do it live to see what happens.
Yeah, look at it. It's really dark out here.
If you go back from those,
okay.
If you go back from those paving stones, I don't know how many there are, but it looks like there's enough where you'll have a few start disappearing.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's too dark.
I was really skeptical towards this angle of attack thing. I mean, I even told Nathan it's full of shit because he mentioned it, but now I'm starting to rethink it.
Yeah,
we had really strong discussions about it.
Angle of attack isn't a thing, so why do we get trained that in military? Just ground troops and fighter pilots. No, the angle of attack, no such thing.
The angle of view. I mean,
call it angle of attack, angle of view, whatever. It's the same.
Angle of attack is just my deliberate way of pissing people off so that it gets attention. I know it's an aeronautical term. I realise, but it just describes it so well. You're looking at something in the distance. Your angle to that thing in the distance. The angle you attack that thing, it's just got a nice ring to it. And plus, it'll annoy people. It got Miles Davis's attention, so it worked. Oh, it's not an angle of attack.
Yeah,
I must correct this.
Cinder, tonight and between tonight and tomorrow, you just play with a little bit of objects in the long hallway and just record it, go up and down with the camera as steady as you can and just take 10 or 15 minutes and do it, and then just review the footage and you will be amazed on the results.
I think so too. I mean, there was a really, really big supermarket called like Terminal 21, which represented, each floor represented another country. And it was like, I don't know, 200 to 300 meters long. And some surfaces were uneven if you know, to the one part to the other, of course. But I think there was a surface which was like 100 meters and pretty even, I think. And I'm starting to think I would get the same observations as you did. How long was the floor where you did it, Jose?
Oh, Jose.
Do you know?
It was a 75-foot long, that supermarket. It's not one of the biggest, it's a smaller supermarket.
Yeah. And that's pretty impressive. I mean, when I saw the light, I mean, was it a phone light you had?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was it a telephone light, the flashlight from the phone?
Yeah, flashlight. I had a second cell phone with a flashlight, so yeah, I sat down my one phone recording and then the flashlight on the other one. I just set it against the wall, you know.
I mean, I realized, like, look at that sunset another way, because let's say the floor was really completely even, which I kind of assume on a place like this. Seeing the light going down kind of represented the sun for me, like the sun setting. You know, it's kind of amazing. Yeah.
Zinder, you're like music to my ears right now, man.
Really?
It's yeah, man. It's amazing seeing you talk like this, man. Coming from what you used to say.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean,
I can just tell that in your mind you're really questioning.
Nah, it's amazing what the love of a good Thai woman will do.
Yeah. I think when I'm going to be back, I'm going to make this a little bit more often.
Pete Shea knows the score.
Right now, maybe once a week, I'm going to watch a little into Nathan's videos, because I don't have Wi-Fi everywhere. And right now, I'm at a place where my friend lives, and it's really great. They just built it a half year ago. They rebuilt everything. But then we are going to travel around, which means I won't have the time for it. But yeah, right now it's kind of great. We went to sleep. I have a little bit of time, chilling a little bit, and then going further tomorrow.
Hey, Apollo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ladies. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, NASA fanboy.
How you doing? I wanted to use a text-to-speech program on this Hangout, but I forgot about it. Maybe next time.
Let's see.
Take the camera off just in case we get any reflections we shouldn't have.
Yeah, he is in Pattaya. Naughty.
Hey, Apollo.
Hey.
Hey, how are you, man? How are you doing?
Good. Very good.
Have you gotten to look at all the observations of objects being obscured from the bottom on a flat surface?
I have seen a video of it by Nathan, yes.
Can you tell me what you think about that? Tell me what you think about that.
Well, I find it fascinating how in such a short distance you see a tiny object getting blocked at the bottom, while on the ocean, on a beach, you can see boats far into the horizon being blocked at the bottom. So I think it's interesting how it works at a tiny distance, but also at a very long distance.
Can I give you an explanation? So it's down to how big the aperture is. So how big the hole that's letting the light through, that will directly affect the diffraction limit. So the diffraction limit is based on the size of the aperture. So when Ranti replicated this with a P1000 over a 100-meter race course, all he could get to disappear was about 2 millimeters of the ring that the egg was sat on, because he's got zoom and a massive aperture. So I did an interview about 2 or 3 months ago now with Zachary Zabala from Good Times for All YouTube channel, GUDTIMS 4ALL, Good Times for All, and he explained Airy's diffraction. And there's the Rayleigh criterion. You can go through all of the equations for how you can actually calculate what the diffraction limit of any given aperture, camera, lens, eye, whatever you're viewing something with is. Now, if you can only see a certain distance with a given size of aperture, that means that, let's say it's when I gave the shoe or fly example. So you've got a house fly, you back away from it, and with your eye, which is a very small aperture, the fly will eventually, at a fairly short distance, get too small to see. Well, the same applies to the bottom angle of a pair of shoes. In that smallest of angles, it effectively forces the angular size of that particular thing at the bottom end of that scale, top to bottom of the angle. It makes it too small to see. Therefore, if you use a tiny aperture, such as on an iPhone camera, you'll have this effect happen quicker than it'll happen with your eye, because it's a tiny little aperture. You do it with a massive P1000, and the effect will happen at 50 miles, because you've got a super zoom.
I see.
So the point being, just to round this out, Apollo, the whole point of doing this is to explain why, with a super zoom camera, you always consistently lose the bottom edge of whatever it is you're viewing in the distance. So in the case of what we're viewing right now on screen, we've got the north end of the Isle of Man heavily compressed and cut off from the bottom. Why? Because of the limited viewing angle, and it will never change, providing you don't change your elevation. It won't come more into view on a clearer day. That limited angle will dictate how much of that land you see at that distance. Now, when you're talking with that piece of land that was on screen a moment ago, 34 miles is the distance that you would have to look at in order to get that effect on the bottom edge of what has effectively been pushed into a very small angle to begin with anyway, because it's far away. So what we're talking about is 600 or 700 feet of island being forced into that limited angle of view, and the very bottom section, surprisingly, gets cut off. But you've got a massive zoom and a massive aperture. Scale that down to 100 meters with an iPhone, and almost all of it's gone from the bottom up. You can lose loads of it because you've got less resolution. It's resolving less information. So you're effectively reducing that angle at a much shorter range by having an iPhone lens instead of a P1000 lens. But it's directly addressing why we lose things from the bottom up, like boats with super zoom, or like shoes with an iPhone.
When you talk about large aperture, do you mean a large f number or a physical large lens opening?
Physical larger hole. The more information you can let through that lens, the higher the diffraction limit. So, in other words, the diffraction limit, we used to refer to it as the angular size limit. So, in other words, how small something will be given how far you can zoom in on it. Now, obviously, with your own eye, you can't see the Isle of Man. You can't see it in the size and scale that you can present it like it is on screen now. Now, for me, it's 2 foot high because it's on an 8 foot wide projection screen. It's massive. Now, when I've seen it, and I have with my own eyes, it's teeny, 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 tiny. Obviously, because I've got a limited resolution to my eye given the size of aperture. Increase that by scale, make it much, much bigger, and you can see further. You have a bigger resolution, so you can resolve things that are smaller and further away with zoom and a big aperture. But the converse is to scale down the aperture, scale down the distance, and see if you get the same effect. And you do. Things disappear from the bottom up due to limited angle of view.
Most lenses are sharpest when you stop the aperture down a few stops. Not when it's at its largest, but when you stop the aperture blades down, a lens usually gets sharper.
Yeah, you can mess with the aperture. Not fixed on a camera.
Well, only point-on-shoot lenses have a fixed aperture. Most decent quality lenses have aperture blades that you can manipulate.
Correct. Regardless, the aperture is what dictates your diffraction limit. Simple.
And with most lenses, after some time, when you stop the aperture down far enough, you will actually lose resolution again. It gets softer when you stop an aperture down to like f16 or f22. So let's say you have an f1.8 lens. It will get sharper at f2.8 and f5, but eventually, when you get to f16 or f22, it will get blurry again due to refraction.
So Apollo, I'm not asking you to say the Earth is flat, but will you at least concede that will you at least concede that no boats go over the curvature?
Well, they seem to go down eventually. So either it's refraction or it's angle of attack.
Apollo, can I ask a question? When do you expect to see your curve?
Sorry?
When do you expect to see your curve?
I think
How high have you got to be?
No, I mean Apollo. Wait, let's take out the big words, the complex words. Apollo.
No, I understand.
Wait. Do boats simply disappear from your vision, or do they go over a hump? Which one is it?
They do not simply disappear from your vision. I don't think they go over a hump either. The bottom just seems to it how do you say it? Go below the waves.
Become obstructed.
Yes.
Right. But at a linear rate, right? You do realize that.
Yes, it's not a who's sniping?
Again, when do you expect to see the curve? How high have you
Cynical
really got to be?
Skeptic, sorry to interrupt you guys. This is on screen now. This is Roger MC's heavily edited video. Shout out to Flat Earth Audio for motion stabilizing it. Motion tracking it, I should say.
Hello. Sorry. I was away for a moment.
So, shout out to Roger MC. This is his video. Good stuff. Well done, Roger MC.
Hello. I am back again. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm trying to find my camera, but I can't find it. And I don't want to set up my DSLR right now because it's too much of a pain.
So
when I connect the Nikon to a telescope, and I can actually live stream it because I can use it as a webcam. So that's going to be pretty cool when I do that.
Asked for this diagram from the chat. I don't know why, but more than willing. There you go.
Hey.
Hey.
Everybody's gone out to lunch or something.
We'll be rounding out shortly. 5 minutes maybe.
Right. I just finished lunch.
So just a quick test of
That's
people's
that good
vision.
stuff?
Can you see this on screen?
Yes.
Can you read what it says here?
My movie 32. No view.
Of course, you can't see my mouse, can you? Here we go. Can you see my mouse?
Yes, I can.
Can you read
Yeah,
that?
I can see your
What does
mouse.
that say?
10 degrees.
10 degrees. So essentially, even though this is an orthographic view, what this demonstrates is, from this guy's point of view, the angle that he has in this zone is 10 degrees. It's not, I've just guessed. It's arbitrary figure, but it's just to make the example. So he's got 10 degrees to see this entire guy. Yeah, so that's what he's seeing in 10 degrees of viewing angle. Now, when you get down to this section, can you read that?
2 degrees.
So just about make out what it says, 2 degrees, right? So you can read it, even though the actual angle that you've got to see things in is smaller. So obviously there's less pixels in this angle than there is in this angle. Hence the writing gets smaller and less legible. So we're in orthographic, but we can still demonstrate how the limited angle of view means you're physically dealing with less pixels in this angle than in this angle. And then when we get down to here, you can still read it. Or at least I can on my screen. So can you read what it says? If I can get my mouse to actually cover it. Can you read that? Can you read what it says at the bottom of my pointer?
Negative.
You can't read it?
No.
Well, the reason for that is because the pixels have got so limited in that angle towards his shoes that you can no longer resolve the information. There's not enough pixels to resolve the information. The angle's too small. Now, for me, this is a very effective way of demonstrating a limited viewing angle to the bottom of things. Now, conversely, if he had a lighthouse behind him, there'd be a massive angle to it. No worries whatsoever to see the top of the lighthouse, but the bottom of the lighthouse, that'd still be in the limited viewing angle because it's at the bottom. So you'd lose the bottom of the lighthouse, albeit only, 6 inches of it. If the lighthouse is right behind him, if we pretend that this line is actually a lighthouse, well, you're only going to lose the height of a shoe at the distance that's depicted here, because that's where the limited viewing angle lies. So you'd miss 3 inches off the bottom of the lighthouse. But you're still missing a section of the bottom of the lighthouse because of a limited angle of view. But the lighthouse hasn't gone. You can still see the rest of the lighthouse because it's in a wider viewing angle. It's all very simple.
Yep.
I see.
Literally.
I've got some medium format lenses and they have huge apertures. Those are neat.
Look at Rumpus. Limited angle of view. Ha 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 ha. Excellent rebuttal, Rumpus. Very fine. Did you work on that for a long time?
Yeah, maniacally laughing. It's his
Yeah.
last resort.
Why does
Just this has no credit anymore as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's literally got nothing.
You'll
Absolutely
probably need
nothing.
to visit a consultancy.
Anything you guys want to add before I round out this show?
You're a moron.
Oh, gee.
I'd like to say that
utter moron.
And with that, I'll say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, I'm not sure how you could possibly hate the show, but if you did, you smash that dislike button. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!